So being a 2000s kid, I grew up with many movies and especially animated movies like Toy Story, Shrek, and pretty much everything Disney made. But one movie that I honestly think is the best movie during our time was Monsters, Inc. But I never watched it as a kid because my family wasn't really up to date with the newest stuff, and I never really watched Monsters, Inc. fully until I was almost done middle school. But I'm not trying to say that I didn't grow up on any movies. I did grow up on the good old knockoffs, if you know what I'm saying. In my household, it'll be something like this. You want to watch Kung Fu Panda? Nah, you get Little Panda Fighter, okay? Hey son, you want to watch How to Train Your Dragon? Yeah, mom. And then she puts on
coming soon on video and DVD.
How to Train a Dragon Warrior. Nah, I'm just kidding. I never watched that one. But did you want to watch Cars? What about nah? I think you're talking about A Car's Life, all right? Pretty much every frame in this movie just looks so cursed. Just take this for example. Now, these are not the exact movies that I watched as a kid, because I honestly forgot, but I do remember watching the movie, and I would think that's the real one, but it actually wasn't. Now, the only one that I truly enjoyed was a Monsters, Inc. knockoff called Monsters vs. Aliens. But you might be saying, but Dayton, Monsters, Inc. and Monsters vs. Aliens were 8 years apart, and the stories were completely different. Monsters, Inc. was a magnificent story about a monster learning to like humans, and the character development was so good. While Monsters vs. Aliens was out monsters and aliens going ham on each other. It was pretty much Street Fighter with a Monster House mod. Even though this might be true, I don't care. So shut up. Alright, so Monsters vs. Aliens was a 2009 animated movie produced by DreamWorks Animations and distributed by Paramount Pictures. The film was directed by Conrad Vernon and Rod Letterman. It featured people like Reese Witherspoon, Seth Rogen, and Steve Colbert. Wait, Steve Colbert's in the show?
I like the Christmas babies, Trent. And I like the way my skin feels when I'm wearing my rainbow jacket. By your command.
You're back on drugs, aren't you?
Yes, I am!
Well, the story begins with our main character, Susan Murphy, this woman, when she's trying to get ready to be married to news weatherman Derek Deedy in Modesto, California, until
I'm gonna be butt-ass naked so the wind could just be hitting my balls. Hey, bro, watch your jet. Watch your jet, bro. Watch your jet!
a motherfucking comet. Sorry. Asteroid. Comes out of nowhere and makes her look like the Incredible Hulk. She's then instantly diagnosed with Twitch syndrome, making her hair turn white. Alright? When the US military comes from the back and makes many attempts to tranquilize her, putting her to sleep, she tries to fight back.
Just leave me alone! No!
Baba Booey.
She's eventually captured and brought to top secret facility led by this guy. You can tell this guy is definitely from ROTC or Boy Scouts because look at my man's nose. It straight up looks like the symbol. We are then introduced to our monsters that were held in the facility. Dr. Cockroach, PhD. A scientist that's half human, half roach.
Oh, a cockroach!
Then we got the missing link, which is a prehistoric fish-ape hybrid who was thawed from deep ice that seems to be getting injured constantly to the point where his bones are pretty much jelly.
Ow! Guys, let's take this thing down.
And then we got the actual jelly, B.O.B, or B.O.B, which stands for benzoate bicarbonate, which sounds really complex and real, but it's completely made up by the MVA writers. He is pretty much the comedic relief for the movie because he has funny faces, you know what I'm saying? Look at this face. Isn't that so funny? Although, he also might just be a terrorist, though.
Nothing but a filthy carbon-based life form!
These disguises are the bomb!
Then we got Insectosaurus, which is pretty much a big bug, okay? There's nothing much about this character, but he has some pretty cool plushies and costumes. I mean, if I went to Comic-Con, I would definitely have to dress up like this guy because he's so iconic. Now, the last monster is Susan Murphy, our main character from the beginning, and now she's known as Ginormica and is forbidden from having contact with anybody outside the facility. Now she can't talk to her Discord or Reddit monitors. Meanwhile, Mega Man's brother Gilexar is alerted about the presence of Quantonium, which is pretty much like dark matter from Futurama because it has immense energy. So he sends down probes in order to retrieve it. These are what the probes pretty much look like. We are then introduced to the greatest scene in all of movie making and pretty much the history of cinema, to be honest. president then tells our monsters that if they stop the probe, they will get their freedom. The probe then senses the Quantonium and Ginormica, putting many people at risk in the process. The 5 eventually take down the probe by using the goddamn Golden Gate Bridge, completing this arc of the anime. Gilexar learns about this and heads straight to Earth to get the Quantonium himself. Ginormica and her friends are now set free, but Ginormica is now alienated from her family and Derek because she is now an e-girl who hangs out with reptilian furries. So she goes back to her friends to immediately get sucked by Gilexar's ship. Insectosaurus tries to save her, but the Insectosaurus straight up dies.
Snake, are you okay? Snake? Snake!
Now this was very innovative for the creators to do because usually characters don't die in this type of show, especially like a kid's show. But they seem to defy the sense of normal traditions of filmmaking and breaking new grounds and improving on them. And I'm obviously just kidding because he's not dead. It's a kid's show. What was I talking about? This show sucks. She is then put into prison and immediately escapes. She chases down Gilexar but is trapped in the machine that extracts the Quantonium out of her body, making her regular sized again. Gilexar then uses the extracted Quantonium to create tentacle hentai clones of himself to invade Earth. Manga then hops on the Fortnite jetpack and gets Bob, Link, and the Roach onto the ship. They manage to rescue her and the Roach downloads a mod so it can make the ship self-destruct. As they are attempting to leave at the blast door, Susan gets trapped by the door and left with Gilexar. She confronts him, but uh-oh, time's running out. She says it and shoots the hand of the statue to get crushed by a ball. She then presses respawn and saves her friends until she almost dies, but luckily Insectosaurus is still alive and is now Butterfly. They manage to escape and the ship goes ploopy, killing everyone in it. They are then awarded medals and Derek wants Susan back, but she rejects him in cold blood. Manga then tells him about a new threat in the world, and the magnificent story is to an end.
Dad, Lucy found something too. Dad, I found a joint in Mom's dresser drawer.
When this movie came out, the overall response was pretty average. They said that the film was overall good, having good humor and good special effects. For ratings on IMDb, it got 6.4 out of 10. On Rotten Tomatoes, it got 73%. And on Metacritic, it got 56%. And for Day and Scale, it gets 100% out of 200. But I'm not trying to say that this movie is bad because it is very good compared to other films. Now, yes, many people have seen this movie, but I feel like it's just not as talked about compared to other animated movies like Shrek or even Up, which was the highest grossing animated movie. Currently, it's still one of the highest grossing movies, but it's not as significant as before. Now, personally, I'm not even that sad that I didn't grow up on movies that were like the classics, but I'm pretty happy because this movie is actually pretty good. The character development was decent, and the visuals were really good for its time. Overall, the story is very top-notch. The pacing was also very nice as well, and the best part of this movie is definitely the characters. Now, in many movies, some of the characters are very boring, I would say. But in this movie, all the characters were very unique and had their own backstory and had their own personality, and the interactions between other characters was fantastic. Now, if you take it to movies like How to Train Your Dragon, some of the characters are just there. They're just there. There was only those main characters like Toothless and his owner. But in Monsters vs. Aliens, even the villain seems kind of cool, even though he looks retarded. So recently, DreamWorks has just been producing out some absolute garbage, and it will be really nice to see a resurgence in good movies. And yes, even though some of the sequels were pretty good, I don't think sequels count because they're just making an already good film and just making more money out of that film instead of being creative and making a new film. And yes, they've been trying to do that, but it's just not been as good. Now, I do think Monsters vs. Aliens is very underrated as a show and hasn't been talked to that much, but overall, this movie has potential to be one of the greats, up with like DreamWorks' other projects like How to Train Your Dragon or Kung Fu Panda. At first glance, even looking at the trailers, this show does look very childish and really uninteresting, but I do have to say it's a cinematic masterpiece. Now, I have no idea if this is supposed to be a knockoff version of Monsters Inc. Personally, it does feel like it because I did watch both of these shows at the same time, and to many viewers, it was probably not a knockoff, but I do think DreamWorks took the concept of animated monsters being friendly from Monsters Inc.'s success, which was honestly a smart idea, and I do want to see more movies like that. So if you haven't seen this movie, I really urge you to go look at this movie because it's really good. But that's pretty much it. If you like this video, I urge you to subscribe to the channel. It's easy and it's free, and if you don't like it, you can always just unsubscribe. It's right down there in the bottom right corner. Comment what you think. Thanks for watching. My name is Day and 10, and I'm out. Peace.